What's up, everyone? Tara Roberts here with Win Daily, and we are talking NFL player props for Underdog for Week 14. I've got another 10 props for you this week. Before I dive in, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, check out the description below for a link to sign up to play on Underdog. 100% deposit match up to $500. Now let's go ahead and talk props. This week we are focusing in on two games that I think have the potential to hit their overs. One of those games is Chicago versus Detroit. We've already seen this matchup and points were flowing from both sides, particularly from Detroit, but this time around the game is in Chicago, so no dome, which means that touchdowns won't come as easily. I am mildly concerned about the pass volume for Detroit in this divisional matchup away from the dome, but what doesn't concern me here is Jahmyr Gibbs receiving yards. We want the over at 28.5. On the other side, relying on pass yardage for Justin Fields is inherently risky, but when you combine it with rushing yards, you're covered on both parts. Since Fields' return, he hasn't hit that huge upside that we saw before he was injured, but despite that, he has hit the over on his current line of 264.5 pass plus rushing yards in both of these games, and we want the over here again. And while pass yardage for Fields is inherently risky, we do know that whatever he throws goes directly to DJ Moore. We want to correlate here with the over on DJ Moore's receiving yards at 71.5. Moving on to the next game, I have four props from Indianapolis and Cincinnati. Starting with Cincinnati, we aren't overreacting to Jake Browning's Week 13 performance of over 350 yards. We are acting appropriately to a quarterback in an excellent matchup. I love this game as a whole because both defenses are terribly vulnerable on all aspects, and the offenses have been competent despite turning two backup quarterbacks. The Bengals know that focusing on Ja'Marr Chase is the best path to victory. I expect Browning to hit the over on his passing yards at 235.5 and Chase to hit the over on his receiving yards at 67.5, which is just way too low for Ja'Marr Chase, disrespectful even. For Indianapolis, we are taking the same approach. Very simple. Gardner Minshew over 230.5 passing yards. Michael Pittman over 74.5 receiving yards. Since Minshew took over as the full-time starter, there's only been two games where Pittman didn't hit this mark. New Orleans and Carolina, both very understandable. We are not doing a secondary receiver from either team in this matchup just because they've all been wildly inconsistent. Now we'll close things out with a few one-off picks. We want the over on Alvin Kamara's rushing yards at 59.5. This matchup is excellent against Carolina. And the possibility of Taysom Hill being out is great for Kamara's attempts and yardage. Let's talk about a bad matchup here. We've talked about a bunch of good ones. Let's talk about a bad one here. Justin Herbert versus the Broncos. The Broncos, they're a terrible matchup for opposing quarterbacks. And while I still like Justin Herbert overall this week because touchdowns still can get him to a good game, the yardage, it's just too high in my opinion. It's not safe. Even CJ Stroud was held to 275 passing yards. And that's actually the most passing yards they have given up since week 6. Herbert has struggled in back-to-back weeks facing difficult matchups. We want the under on his passing yards at 256.5. And one more bad matchup. Tony Pollard versus Philadelphia. Tony Pollard's hot streak has been very strong. He's had 3 touchdowns in each of the past 3 games, but I think that hot streak comes to an end this week. The past 3 games have been very run-friendly. Carolina, Washington, and even Seattle. But Philadelphia's defense against the run, it is for real. And we have seen Pollard already in this matchup a month ago, and the results was 12 carries, 51 yards. Not so good. We want the under on his rushing yards at 58.5. And that wraps things up. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, remember to sign up to play on Underdog. The link is below in the description. 100% deposit match up to $500.